Hello, hello.
Hello.
Welcome everyone to The Journey, coming to you live from all across America onto your screens on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I am here with my co-host, Rich. How you doing, Rich?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good, Vanessa. Doing pretty good. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. It's a pleasure as always.
Always
Yeah.
a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been quite a ride, I will say, doing
Yes,
all
it
of
is.
these episodes and learning so much information
Yeah.
about all the different businesses that we have in our community.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm excited to jump right back in and
Yep.
do another episode and interview another wonderful guest. So
Yes.
if you are just joining us here, The Journey is basically a show that is sponsored by the Spirit of Praise Ministries from Atlanta, Georgia. And this show is set to basically create a space to talk about entrepreneurship in all of its different facets, no matter what it looks like. We talk to different people who have started businesses. Some of them have been able to quit their full-time jobs. Others are still doing it on the side. But whatever their journey looks like, we want to know what it took to get to where they are. So on the show, we talk about the challenges that they had to overcome, the triumphs that they were to accomplish. And it's just a great place so that we can share information and connect you with maybe a business that you weren't familiar with before. So we're continuing that today. And I'd love to just get right into our guest and tell you a little bit about them. So our guest for this evening is Daniel Frankson. Now, Daniel Frankson was born in Kingston, Jamaica, and moved to London at the age of 10 and lived in England for a year, and then moved to Brooklyn, New York, which you know my co-host Rich knows a lot about, BK.
BK forever.
Yeah. So he grew up in BK and left to attend university at Howard University in Washington, D.C. at the age of 18. Currently, he owns and operates a real estate business called Frankson Realty, which was founded in 2014. So his business currently partners with Coldwell Banker in an effort to navigate people through the purchase and sale process of real estate. So I am so delighted to welcome our guest, Daniel Frankson, to the show. Come on in, Daniel.
Hey, evening.
Hey.
Good evening, Dan. Good to see you, my brother.
Good to see you as well, Richardson, man. Good to see you. Hey, Vanessa.
Hi. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited about this conversation because truthfully, I don't know a ton about real estate. All I know is that we're in a current market that's kind of crazy right now, or it's something that we've never seen in a very, very long time. So I'm really looking forward to just like taking notes and learning as much as possible.
Definitely. Well, I'm here to share and answer any questions about the real estate business. And like I said, crazy is definitely an understatement for the market that we're in.
Right. So let's go ahead and jump straight into it, man. Just tell us a little bit more about yourself. Yes, Vanessa gave a little brief intro about you, but just dig in a little bit deeper and tell us a little bit more about yourself and why you decided to get into real estate. Because I know in the information you gave us that you were a school teacher as well. So what was the driving force that made you switch over to real estate?
So first of all, I'm going to be honest. I don't know if I can present it as eloquently as Vanessa did, but I'll try my best, right? She made me feel like a star when she was talking.
You gotta own it, you know.
So, I mean, you got to get my background information.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to add that, actually Richardson and I know each other from Brooklyn.
Nice.
His younger brother, Evans, and I are in the same grade. Evans and I throughout high school had a love-hate relationship in a sense. Right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah, you remember those days, right? But this goes to show the beauty of growth and maturity.
Okay.
Because when I see Evans and even when I see Richardson just on social media and their kids and family, it brings so much warmth to my heart. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Our
that's
school
awesome.
was a very unique school, and so anytime I see folks from our school doing well, that brings a lot of happiness to my heart, man. So I just wanted to say that first. So much love to Richardson and much love to the bro Evans as well. In terms of me, just to give you some more insight in terms of how I got into the real estate business, as you mentioned, I went to Howard University after growing up in Brooklyn, and I was studying communications and culture. My idea was to take that and then transition into law school. But during my time at Howard, I in terms of working just to take care of myself in school, I was doing a lot of tutoring jobs and working with kids in and around DC, the DC area. And it's always been a passion of mine, mentorship in a sense, right? So mentorship. And an opportunity presented itself for me in my senior year to take a teaching position here in Atlanta, Georgia. And so I jumped on the opportunity, and it was to teach 9th grade lit at Frederick Douglass High School on the west side of Atlanta.
Okay.
Picture me now, fresh out of college, 22 years old, teaching high school. My students ranged in age from 14. My oldest student, if I remember correctly, was 19 or 20.
Okay, almost the same age as you at the time.
Virtually the same age. So
Yeah.
the other teachers used to confuse me with some of the students.
Oh my gosh.
But for various reasons, that as much as I love teaching and I love the youth, I don't know if that was my calling, right? Because there are certain things in terms of the institution of education that didn't sit right with me. That's a discussion for another day. But I felt a couple of years, let me go ahead and try my hand at, let me go back to the original plan.
Okay.
Go to law school. And so that's what I did. Studied for the LSAT and did decently on it. And I got into the University of Miami Law School.
Oh, nice.
And so I made a transition from Atlanta down to Miami to start law school. But during that time, my wife and I found out that we were pregnant with our second child right before.
What timing?
Right?
Yeah.
You know, me as a young man, I was 24 at the time. My mindset, what the current mindset or a certain level of immaturity. At the time, I said to myself, well, in order for me to put myself in the best position to support my family, I need to make the move down there to do law school so I can become an attorney and take care of my family. It's just 3 years. 3 years fly by, right?
Right.
So, foolish me packed up every piece of clothes I had in the house, every shoes I had, and I jumped in the car, drove down to Miami to start law school. And what I quickly learned is that anyone that's been to law school or knows about the process will tell you that it requires virtually all of your time and attention.
Yes, I've heard.
Especially that 1L year. And I was essentially splitting my time between school and family back in Atlanta.
Oh, so you were separated from your family at the time. So you went to law school on your own. Okay.
I went to law school on my own, and the plan of action, I had it all worked out in my head, Vanessa. So the plan of action was I was going to buy a condo down there in Miami, and then I was going to bring, them down so that we could be together while I'm in law school. But mine was all taking place when the economy had crashed. The real estate market crashed. So this was back in 2008. So things didn't quite line up that way.
Yeah.
Right? And so I essentially was going from every Thursday afternoon after my last class, I would jump on a flight and I would come to Atlanta. Ooh. And then every Sunday morning I'd jump on a flight and I'd
go. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
That's stressful.
Tough. Every week, right? And needless to say, without going into too much further detail, but needless to say, I'm not giving my all to school, not because I don't want to, but I'm just not able to. And more importantly, I was not giving my all to my family.
Right.
It became problematic at a time. So you make a decision. And the decision was either school or family, because I wasn't in a position to do the both of them at the same time anymore.
Right.
Naturally, I chose family. That's most important, right?
Right.
Yeah, because schools, it will be there. Yeah.
Let go of the scholarship, let go of law school, and ended up coming back to Atlanta when my daughter was born after my first semester. So I came back. I did try and finish later on down the road, but just didn't kind of balance out. So I give you that backstory in terms of how I transitioned into real estate.
Okay.
Did a few things before, but one of the things I did ever since I moved to Atlanta in 2006 was I was so intrigued by these homes that I saw, right?
Right.
Which will tell you is very different from Brooklyn, where we
yeah, I grew up in Jersey City. Have family in Brooklyn, so I already know.
So you don't see these kind of homes and these neighborhoods, and it was just I was, enamored by it. So I would spend a lot of my free time going to open houses. Mind you, I wasn't trying to buy a house at the time. I had bought one when I first moved to Atlanta. That was one of the goals I had set for myself. I just like to go and look. And I'd tell these people at open houses all kind of stories about how I'm going to buy. Yeah, I can afford this $1 million home. And I just was really into it, the architecture and just everything about real estate from that standpoint. And as I was making a transition at a certain stage in my life, I was doing some nonprofit work. I had started a nonprofit. I was doing a lot of nonprofit work, getting back to my roots in terms of working with youth and stuff of that nature.
That's cool.
Wife encouraged me. She said, well, you really seem to love this house thing and you're good with people. Why not just go get your license and give it a shot? And so eventually I did. And that's how I transitioned into the real estate world.
Right.
And, I've been doing it full time ever since day one. I kind of just dived in.
Yeah.
And just kept going from there. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks to the wife for pushing you in the right direction.
We give her some credit.
Just a little bit. I tried.
Yeah, give us some credit, right?
Bit. Sometimes you just need a little encouragement,
Now, next thing you know, next commission check, she gonna feel like that's old. Ease down on the credit. She gets
That's funny. Well, since you mentioned family, I'm curious because your journey to getting here is so interesting and so varied. I'm wondering if we could go back a little bit to like your family history. Growing up, what was your family history with entrepreneurship? Like, did you know anyone in your family that had a business, that started a business, or maybe even in real estate?
No, well, not in real estate to my knowledge, but my family is heavy on entrepreneurship, which I don't think I really realized until, later on in life. But entrepreneurship has always been a big part of my family. Jamaica, so a law firm, there's a textile company, there's various things that my family has done throughout the decades, ranging as far back as I know to my grandfather on down. My older brother is an entrepreneur, and who I look to for anything business-wise, business advice, things of that nature. Aunts, a lot of my aunts are entrepreneurs, have their own.
That's good. That's good.
Not quite entrepreneurship, but if you want to say freelance, which I guess technically on your own, I'd have to give credit to my sister, my mother, my father's an entrepreneur. So it's definitely within the family.
Wow. That's awesome. And that's rare that people can have so many examples of entrepreneurship in one family. So yeah, you're pretty blessed to have that example.
Very, very true. But like I said, it didn't really occur to me until later in life. But it's something that I've grown to appreciate and admire quite a bit. So nice.
Okay, that's good to know. So I'm wondering about your day-to-day in your business. Can you give us an idea of what a day is like for you?
Well, one thing with real estate, I'll tell you, is that every day is different, right? I mean, there are certain things that you do that are the same, but there's no, every day brings its own set of challenges and, different
Mm-hmm.
obstacles or whatever that you have to deal with. So if I were to say a typical day,
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably say that that's going to consist of checking in with, all of your active, pending, and pending clients. So that would be folks that are either currently on the market, whether that's they're selling a house or they're looking for a house to buy. So
Mm-hmm.
with them, for the folks that are looking to buy, that would consist of, searching the market to find opportunities for them to go and take a look at.
Okay.
Your sellers that are active on the markets, updating them in terms of any showing requests and any feedback that has been received. So definitely checking in on active clients, then checking in on pending clients, which would be
Okay.
sellers or buyers that are under contract, so under
Mm-hmm.
and ensuring that everything is going smoothly, on track, things of that nature. And then to throw in there as well, there's also checking in on closed clients, so folks that have already, whether they've sold their house or they've purchased a home, just checking in,
Mm-hmm.
sure that they are good, they're comfortable,
Okay. A
things.
lot of phone calls, a lot of
Lots
check-ins.
of phone calls,
Yeah.
emails, text messages, and then there's also,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how your business is structured, for a realtor, there could be some driving involved as well, because if
Oh,
you own property, that's a part of it also.
mm-hmm.
And then what folks would tell you is lead generation. So looking for, more business, but I guess a standard part of entrepreneurship.
Okay. What was that phrase? Lead generation?
Yeah, you call it lead generation. So I mean, just scouting for new opportunities, new business.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, better way to put it. So your day would probably consist of quite a bit of that as well. So
Okay.
um,
Gotcha. Okay, that's interesting. I do want to let the audience know really quickly. Richardson dropped off, as you notice. He just has a power outage in his area.
oh wow,
Yeah, unexpected, but hopefully he can hop right back on as soon as the power's back up
yeah.
and running in his house. Um, I am interested, Daniel, in the client experience and what that's like.
Mhm.
So, if someone is interested in buying a house, what kind of things do they need to do to make sure that they're prepared? Like, are there certain things that they should come to you already completed, some things? Or like, where do we even start as a client that's interested?
That's a very good question, right? First, let me state that the foundation of my business personally, or I should say professionally, is customer service. I'm very, very big on customer service, ensuring that people are comfortable before, during, and after the process, right?
Okay.
So that's number one, always. So in the to the question you asked, if someone is looking to purchase a home,
Mm-hmm.
which funnily enough, my business is built more so 70% working with sellers, 30% working with buyers, and I can explain
Ah,
a bit later. But
okay. Yes.
in terms of someone that wants to buy a home, in a general market, so if we're not talking about this current market that we're,
Mm-hmm.
the two most important factors that a buyer can do is build their team, right? That's going to assist
Okay.
through the real estate process. And so those two factors in terms of building the team would be getting yourself aligned with a qualified and experienced realtor.
Uh-huh.
Myself, and there's many other, highly qualified realtors here in the Atlanta area, respect to all my colleagues. And the second is getting themselves aligned with a lender from to secure a mortgage, right?
Gotcha.
Most buyers finance the purchase of a home, so that's why
Mm-hmm.
it's so critical. But the reason why these two aspects are so critical is because your realtor is essentially going to steer the ship for you during the entire.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to guide you from point A to point Z, from start to finish. But
Okay.
in the middle of that, the lender is really going to take the lead once you're under contract. So once you found a home, submit
Oh, okay.
it's accepted, your lender now plays a very vital role. And so the reason why I say customer service is essential, because I've heard stories of buyers' deals falling through because they can't get a hold of their lender. They get calls. Everything in real estate becomes very time sensitive when you're under contract. So you want to ensure that whoever you're working with, as professionals should, answer the phone, are available for you. So when people talk about entrepreneurship and business, first thing you have to accept that it's not a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday thing. This is a 7 days a week. Sometimes the most convenient time for one of your clients might be 11:30 at night. So you have to make those adjustments in order to help. So to answer your question, get a realtor, get with a lender. You then want to get what's called pre-qualified, which means that a lender is taking a look at your assets, your credit, and your income to determine how much home you can afford, right?
Gotcha.
This is an area where a lot of buyers, they sort of overlook this, and they want to just jump right out and start looking at homes.
Okay. Oh, so you don't recommend that, looking at homes first and then
I would
deciding the amount.
Professionally, I would never go out and show homes if you're not pre-qualified.
Yeah.
Because essentially that's like, imagine we go to the mall and we want to buy whatever. We don't even know if we have any money in our account or money we have to spend, right? It's essential that you're pre-qualified, because somebody could make $100,000 a year and they can't afford a home at the same level as someone making $50,000 a year can make, right? There's something called your debt to income ratio. Let's say, Vanessa, you're making $120,000 a year. So you make $1,000 a month, and I'm making $60,000 a year. So I'm making $5,000 a month, right? Worked out proper on that, but for argument's sake.
Yeah, for example.
You're making 10 grand a month, I'm making 5 grand a month. But your expenses a month, you're spending $8,500 a month in expenses. So whether that's car note, student loan, and whatever else, my expenses a month are $1,000. So you have $1,500 in which to work with. It pertains to a mortgage, and I have $4,000 to work with. So even though you make $120,000, you can't afford the same level of home that I can, right?
Gotcha.
So that's where people get tripped up a lot. Oh, I make X amount, I know I can buy a house for this much. Not necessarily. That's speak to a lender to get that verified.
Okay, so everyone should definitely pay attention to their debt to income ratio.
You have to talk to a lender before you go out and start looking. Otherwise, you're going to disappoint yourself. You're going to waste time and energy. And the reality of the situation is you can't even make an offer on a home without a pre-qual letter from
okay. So that would be a waste of time if you didn't do that work before.
You have a lot of people that want to engage in that practice. And from the professional side, sometimes I know, especially for newer realtors starting out in the business, they feel like they can't turn down opportunities. But I guess it's the old saying of you have to work smarter, not harder.
Yes.
People run around with 10 people that aren't qualified. The odds of any of them ever getting to the closing table are very slim. You working with one person that's highly qualified and ready to go, you might have better results overall, right?
Okay. Yes.
So that's generally speaking. But Vanessa, in a market like this one, where inventory is low and demand is high. So
I've heard of this. Like, I've heard that houses are selling for like twice the amount of the list price, and people are paying it.
People are paying.
I'm interested to know, like, how is this possible? Like, do you have any insight on like what's going on in the market and what's causing this behavior that we haven't seen before?
It's just basic supply and demand. Supply and demand principle. So when I say supply, that's a number of houses for sale. So inventory, right?
Yeah.
Extremely low. And then the demand, which would be your qualified buyers, that's extremely high. So if you have, just for argument's sake, 100 qualified buyers for every house that's on the market, you can see the rush. And now it gets to a point where if you have that many buyers and you don't know when the next house is going to become available,
Yeah.
You're gonna have more buyers that are willing to spend over the odds to get the house, and so
Oh my
create
gosh.
what we know as a seller's market, because
Yeah.
the seller holds the control. So in
Mm-hmm.
a balanced market where a buyer may be able to get certain contingencies in a contract, such as, you know, the seller will help them out with some of their closing costs, or
Mm-hmm.
they'll get a week or 10 days to be able to inspect the home, or they can use whatever loan type they want. This market is not like that at all.
Oh, okay.
You're not gonna get a single dollar from the seller to help you out with.
Oh man.
Sellers are offended almost if you offer this. You're not gonna get looked at. If they're asking for 500,000, you offer
Yeah. Because
100,000.
why should they? Because they have like tons of people that want the same house.
They're not gonna look at that. I've had sellers
Yeah.
look at that. Daniel, get this away from me. Why would you do that? You offer me what I asked for? That's crazy. I don't want this.
Oh man.
Let's offer me 20,000 more, right? So again, but that's where having an experienced realtor will be able to kind of guide a buyer through that process, to explain to them why you have to approach it in this manner.
Yeah.
Things to consider, where the danger zones, where you have to be cautious, and all of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All in all, Vanessa, I don't see this market changing really anytime soon.
Really? Okay.
Here's a flip side to it. Values are going up, right? Let's take
Mm-hmm.
for example. Home values are going up. So you have a lot of homeowners that have a good bit of equity in their home. And you have a good amount of those homeowners that would like to take advantage of the equity in their home and sell, get that.
Mm-hmm.
But the question is where they're gonna go, because then
Oh.
they're gonna end up on the buyer side. And
Oh man. And you won't be at the advantage anymore.
so you lose. So if you sell, then you have to buy. And if you
Yeah.
can't find anywhere to buy, then you might as well stay.
Yeah.
We see how we don't know how this market is going to shift, but nothing lasts forever. So it will at some point, but
Mm-hmm.
that's where we are right now.
Okay. What is the experience for you as, you know, as you run your business in this crazy market? How has this market affected your business personally?
Okay, so for me, luckily enough, as I touched on earlier on, over the last couple of years, I've been working to build my business so that it's 70% sellers and 30% buyers. So
Mm-hmm.
market like this
Mm.
started to take shape for my business in terms of those splits. So for me, to date it's been great because I'm working with all the sellers.
Yeah.
For me, it's more so just about managing the 20-25 offers at
I
the
see.
first day, and advising my seller in terms of which is the best one and which one is actually going to make it to the closing table.
Okay. Now, has it always been that way for you, where it's 70% sellers, or did you just adjust?
No, so that's what I've been working towards over
Oh, working towards.
years,
Okay.
and it's really taken fruition this year.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily enough, it's kind of fallen into place this year, so like at the perfect time. But yeah, so for me, from that standpoint, it's been really good. In terms of the buyers that I have the opportunity to work with right now, I do experience those challenges.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being smart and knowing how to approach the market, and
Okay.
what questions to ask. Again, communication is so key.
Mm-hmm.
This is a business where it's not, you have a lot of people that like to take the combative route, but that's never the solution.
Okay. What do you mean?
So, all right, let's just say that you're a real estate professional as well. You're a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
You're working with a buyer. I'm working with the seller, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your buyer proposes terms that meets what the seller is looking for, right? So we
Right.
can form a deal. The reality of the situation is that nobody in that scenario wins. So you being the buyer's agent, the buyer, me being the seller's agent, and the seller,
Mm-hmm.
nobody in that scenario wins unless the transaction is completed, right?
Okay.
Buyer
Okay.
doesn't get the house, the seller doesn't get the sale, and you and I as working professionals don't get paid, right? So
Right.
not me against you in that scenario. It's you and I working together to
Yeah.
ensure that your client, feels comfortable at the end of the day, and my client is comfortable and happy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
That's essentially how business should operate, but a lot of people prefer the combative route of,
Okay.
kind of.
That's unfortunate because it sounds like if everyone is on the same page, then the likelihood that you will come to a completed deal that benefits everyone is more likely. But yeah, it's unfortunate that people can't like get on board.
That's life though, Vanessa.
Yeah.
That's not just real estate. That's life.
Yeah, definitely.
Life in general.
Definitely. Now, for people who are interested in becoming a real estate agent, what are some top tips you can give them?
Top tips, like I said, number one is always customer service. So you always have to listen and understand what your client is looking for, what they need, right? Number two is make yourself available. So, you can't be in this business and don't answer your phone or don't respond to your email. You have to be on top of these things. Let me see. Number three, I'd probably just say that you need to be active. You need to have tough skin. You need to be able to take the highs with the low. Again, in general, disappointment does happen, stress does happen. But you can't let that discourage you too much. And one thing I often tell newer agents in the business is keep your blinders on. Look forward. So don't worry about what the realtor on your left is doing, what the realtor on your right is doing.
I see. Okay. What about the training to becoming a real estate professional? What should they expect to get into?
From a training standpoint?
Yeah. Like how would they be able to get in the industry or get licensed or get the education?
All right. So there's a certain number of CE hours, course hours you have to take before you can actually sit for the exam to get your license. I don't remember what the hours are right now. It's been quite some time since I did it.
Okay.
Usually you have to go through a class, do the hours, and sit for the exam. Most of the real estate schools either offer it online or in person. So you have to, especially now in a COVID time, don't necessarily want to go sit down in a class. They could do it online at their own pace. And once you take your exam and you pass that, then your license, and you hang your license with a broker. And from there, you want to do continuing education. So you probably want somewhere where you can continue to learn the ins and outs of the business, how to what they call prospect, which is look for business, how to understand the contracts and the various documents and the various that can come up. So you definitely want to stay abreast of all of these things. Real estate law is also very important to understand.
Okay.
How to navigate through that.
Gotcha. And since you have a law background, that's probably something that, you're more attuned to.
I can't even say I have a law background. I have 2 semesters worth.
I mean, it's something. All right. We're going to take a question from the audience. We do have some comments on YouTube. And one of the questions is from SOP Ministry ATL. And they would like to know, when is the best time to sell to get the best bang for your buck?
Now, this market is definitely the market where you'd like to sell. Again, supply and demand principles. You're gonna have so many buyers out there that are looking, and if you've done the groundwork to prepare your home, and you have a realtor in your corner that understands how to navigate this market on your behalf, it'd be a great time to sell.
Okay.
So this is definitely in your favor.
So you heard that, folks. If you're thinking about it, do it now.
Yeah, this is a good market to sell in.
Another question from the audience from Sunny. He would like to know, how long does it really take before someone can enter a home?
When he says enter a home, is he saying when they close on a home, or talking about just to view the home for a showing?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm wondering, Sunny, if you can add a clarifier, but maybe you can.
I can answer both real quick.
Okay.
Well, if we're taking it from the standpoint of entering a home just for a showing, so to view the home, if you're interested in it, that can happen relatively quickly. However, it's always important to note that some sellers may have specific showing instructions. And so that might mean you have to have an appointment, or you have to make an appointment 24 hours in advance or 2 hours in advance. And it has to be confirmed before you can enter the home. So those are some things from that standpoint.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of if you've purchased a home,
Yes, and he clarified that that's what he meant.
Yeah.
How long does it take between closing on the deal and getting the key?
Okay, so from start to finish, once you're under contract, on average, you're looking at about 30 days. And so when I say contract, that means once you've submitted an offer, the seller has accepted and both parties are now on the same page. So everyone has agreed to the terms. You're now under contract. From that point in time, you're looking at about 30 to 45 days, depending on the type of financing that you're using, right?
Gotcha.
The different types of financing being, well, cash is, that you could get that done in less than 2 weeks. A conventional loan typically is going to take about 30 days.
Okay.
FHA and a VA loan, depending on the volume of deals going on in the market, could probably take you between 30 and 45 days.
I see. Okay. So it all depends on like how you're paying for the house.
Okay. Can have an impact on how that works. Yeah.
Gotcha. And another question from SOP Ministry ATL is, what are the typical mistakes you see from buyers and sellers that mess up the deal?
Probably number one, I'd probably say is ego, or maybe a better word would be emotions, which is
really okay,
understandable at times. But all right, as a professional, I have to come to the table without emotions, right?
Yeah.
So when a client may be emotional about something that's going on, oftentimes you have to hear and understand how they're feeling. But at the same time, in a very diplomatic fashion, you have to remind them what the end goal is, right?
Okay.
We know that things come up, things happen in life, but we can't get emotional and then try and do things out of spite or get back, or it cannot ever become a you versus me situation. And when I say you versus me, seller versus buyer, buyer versus seller, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
So, that's probably one of the biggest things that happen. The other thing that I'd say can derail a deal very quickly, I mentioned early on in the discussion, aligning yourself with the wrong realtor and the wrong lender.
Okay.
Again, I've experienced this many times. You're working with a buyer and you call about a listing, or you call the agent to schedule a time to take your buyer to the listing.
Yeah.
You leave them, they don't answer, you leave a message, you send a follow-up text, send an email, you don't hear anything at all. Days go by, your client might now be under contract somewhere else, and you just get a random text one evening. Yes, you can. So
that's horrible.
It happens. It happens. So that's definitely another factor. And then, as I said, from the lender standpoint, some lenders might oversell. They might overstate what they can do. So what's the term? Oversell and underdeliver.
Yes.
They might tell you, I can get this done in 30 days, no problem. But keep in mind, once you're under contract, everything in real estate is time sensitive, and as your money is now on the line, what you call money deposit. And so I recently, this year, I experienced the most challenging deal I've ever had, and it came all down to the lender. They over-promised and under-delivered.
Oh, man.
It was supposed to be done in 21 days, took 45 days to get done. And so it was a lot of fighting. When I say fighting, I mean, it was a lot of us trying to keep everybody on board, because my seller was ready to bail and go on to somebody else. But we managed to get it done. But that lender could have definitely cost that buyer,
oh my gosh,
$7,500.
Wow. That's pretty awful. Wow.
That's what I'd probably say to answer that question.
Okay. And for those of you watching, you may notice that my co-host Richardson is still not here. His power is still out, so he's not able to hop back on right away. But being the good co-host that he is, he did send over some questions for me to ask you, Daniel.
So before you ask me the questions, Richardson told me he was here in Georgia. It sounds like Richardson is back in Jamaica. Or Haiti.
Probably. He's probably on the beach somewhere.
How he don't have power, Richardson. We don't want to do that, man. Come back home.
Oh, man, that's funny. So Rich wants to know, what are the differences between a realtor and a real estate investor?
Okay, one is recognized as a professional based on Georgia real estate license law. So you actually have a license to act as a realtor. And then a realtor is something very specific versus a real estate agent. So a real estate agent, and there's a realtor. So a realtor is actually a member of a certified board.
Oh, okay.
So there's two very different things. A realtor, I'm a part of the Atlanta Real Estate Association. So that's how I'm a realtor. But if I wasn't a part of a board, then I would just be a real estate agent.
Oh, I learned something new. I didn't realize that. So if you're a real estate agent, then, or if that's the only title you use, then you may not be licensed.
Now you'd be licensed to do business, but your level of how can I put this? Your access to certain tools and your ability to conduct business in a certain manner might be somewhat limited, if I'm painting that picture correctly.
Okay.
And then a real estate investor can be anybody that wants to invest in. Listen, I'm a homeowner, real estate investor though, technically, because purchased my home, I did so with the understanding I'm getting it for X, and one day I'll be able to sell it for Y. So even though there's a place to live personally, I still looked at it as an investment, right? So a real estate investor can be anybody that has the means or the ability to purchase real estate to use as a tool for profit. So buying and renting, buying and flipping, or connecting people, wholesaling is the technical term. They'd all fall under the category of a real estate investor.
Gotcha. So a realtor can also be a real estate investor in the way that you described it.
Absolutely.
Okay. And Rich also wants to know, what tips would you give to new licensed agents that are trying to transition full-time as a realtor?
Okay. I think probably one of the best things you can do is, before you get into the business, you have to understand, just like anything else that you can think of from an entrepreneurial standpoint, it requires time and effort, right? So your grass grows greenest when you put forth the energy to water it, and so on and so forth. So you have to look at your business the same way. So it's not something that you can pick up and put down when you feel like it. The reality of the situation, as I mentioned earlier on, is that the folks that you have the opportunity to work with, your clients, whether they're selling or buying or looking to invest, their schedules may differ completely to what your schedule is.
Yes. Yeah.
You have some folks that work at night, and so 9 to 5 might be when they're available to go and see properties. So if you're not available because you're working at 9 to 5, then you're going to lose out on that business.
Right.
So essentially what I would advise is put yourself in a position as best you can to be as flexible as possible. Right?
Okay.
And that may look different from one person to another, whether that means that you just need to save up enough money to be able to cover your bills for 6 months.
Yeah, that's a thought.
Out there. Whether that's getting support from family, it might look different for everybody, but you definitely have to be able to invest the time, especially upfront, to get your feet and get the ball rolling.
Okay, gotcha. So it's possible that they may have to scale up a little bit before they can do this full time, or maybe start by adjusting your schedule how you can, and get more clients as you can, so that you can eventually do this full time. Okay.
Be flexible.
Understood. So it sounds like this job has a lot of demands on your time. So I'm wondering, what are some of the ways that you help balance things out with family and life and other things that you have going on with such a demanding job, especially in this market? How do you balance some of these things?
Well, that's a good question. I tell you, you mentioned something that's key: family. So family is always number one. I learned that lesson with my experience with being in law school and then being here. So family is number one. So you always have to find time to make for family. No amount of money can replace that, right? So that's number one. Number two, I think, to answer the question the best, is it goes back to why I stated that I've scaled my business to be 70% sellers, 30% buyers. One of the tips I learned early in the business was he or she that
Mm-hmm.
has the listings controls the market.
Mm.
Oftentimes when you see realtors, whether promoting on social media or whatever the case, or marketing, they're usually doing it towards buyers. Now, if we
Yeah.
then we look at it from this standpoint, and I'm just giving you from a professional perspective, not to say that I don't love working with buyers, but from a business standpoint,
Yeah.
Vanessa, you are a realtor and you have 10 buyers, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
a realtor and I have 10 listings, so sellers, right?
Yeah.
You have 2 buyers over there, 3 buyers looking over there, 2 looking down here, and others that looking all over the place, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
10 listings in the same place. You
Yeah.
on average showing them 5 to 7 homes each. So let's go on
Mm-hmm.
low and say 5. So between 10 with 10 buyers, you're showing them 50 homes. For me, it's the same 10.
Mm.
Same 10. Now,
Mm-hmm.
onto the house once to do the listing presentation, secure the listing. I go to the house a second time to put out the lockbox and to have my photographer come in and do the professional listing photos, right?
Yeah.
So 2 times I've been to the house. Whereas you on the buyer side, you've shown this one buyer 7 homes. You've come to mine, you
Mm-hmm.
it, they love it. Then they want to bring their mother by to see the house.
Right.
Take a second time.
Yeah.
Then they make an offer, it's accepted. Then you take them back for a third time for the inspection. Then you go back again because they want to measure something to see
Yeah.
the
Because they already see themselves in it.
new furniture to fit there.
Yeah, they're planning out the rooms.
And you take them back for a 5th time because they want to, do a final walkthrough before they go to closing. And I've still gone into the house twice.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, we're gonna make the same commission.
Mm-hmm.
We've put in far more legwork than I have.
Mm-hmm.
That's mileage, so on and so forth, right?
Okay.
You are also speaking with the lender regularly. You have to update me so I can update my seller. So you have a lot more moving to do on your end, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I say all that to say, how do I balance my time?
Mm-hmm.
20/30 that I spoke about.
Gotcha. It's that working smarter, not harder
Go,
motto that you mentioned.
go. So
Gotcha.
today, for example,
Mm-hmm.
you need to go show any properties because all the other agents out there were showing the listings that I have on the market.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Right?
Nice. Nice. Okay. I have a question from the audience that I want to ask you from SOP Ministry. They want to know, how can someone get into real estate investment, rental property flipping, etc.?
All right. So it's a good question. One thing I'd point out is that real estate investing can look very different depending on what side of the table that you're sitting on. So
Okay.
somebody that's getting into it to rent out property is vastly different than somebody that's looking to get into it from a flipping standpoint, right?
Huh. Okay.
One is a
Oh,
buy.
sorry. For those of people watching who don't know what flipping is, can you quickly explain?
Yeah, sorry. So when we talk about flipping in real estate, that's
Mhm.
purchasing a property that might be in a dilapidated state, investing money into it, fixing it up, so bringing it up in terms of the overall look, appeal, and quality value, and then selling it to a buyer for a profit. So essentially, I might buy a property for 100,000, put $75,000 worth of repairs and upgrades into it. So now I'm invested 175,000 in the property, but I might be now the value might be 250,000. So I sell it and get a $75,000
Okay.
profit. So we call that process flipping.
There we go.
Yeah. So, but just an investor that wants to buy and lease a property out, rent a property out, that's a buy and hold strategy because they're looking to buy the property and keep it. And someone that's looking to flip it, that's a buy and sell, a buy and move on.
Yeah.
If you're flipping property, you don't want to own that property for very long. You want to get it done and move it on.
Gotcha.
Whereas someone that's looking to lease it out, become a landlord. So you're gonna hold that in. So to answer the question, how do you get into it? Essentially, I mean, if you want to buy and hold, you go through the general process that a normal buyer would go through. A single family property, purchase it, and then you would go ahead and find a tenant and get them in there.
Okay. And would you say that you would need to do more cash buying if you want to get into real estate investment? Or is it okay if you finance?
Yeah, no, you can finance, but that I was just about to make that point. Again, going back to the different loan types, that FHA and VA loan, which are both government-backed loans, those loans are for owner occupants. So those are for people that buy and occupy the home. Now, I'm not going to say off the record that you don't have buyers that use those loan types to acquire a property and then lease it out, because an FHA loan is 3.5% down. So $3,500 for every $100,000 on the purchase price. And a VA loan, for those who are eligible, members of the military branches, that's $0 down. So they get 100% financing.
Gotcha.
Those loan types are made for owner occupants.
Ah.
From my understanding, it's quite possible that someone could purchase a home, intentions to live in it, and their situation changed the day
all of a sudden.
I don't know nothing about that, but I hear it happens, right?
Okay.
So conventional loan, again, you can acquire a property for the purpose of leasing it out. In some cases, depending on the lender, you may have to put down 20%. In other cases, again, it might be a bit more lenient. You could get a conventional loan for as little as 3%. But typically, if it's not your first property, or if it's you have multiple properties, it goes back to the whole debt to income ratio. So lenders are usually going to want to see you have more skin in the game, so higher down payments. But
gotcha.
It depends.
Okay, I'm really glad that you highlighted the different loan types for people. So I hope everyone watching is taking notes on all of this, especially if you're interested in purchasing a home or even selling your home. So hope you all gathered some good information. Richardson said his power is back on, so hopefully he can hop back on before our hour is done. Just to give you guys an update. Now, Daniel, you did give us permission to talk about something that you were able to do, although you didn't want to put it on blast. But I heard that you were featured on HGTV's House Hunters. Is that the show?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, where's Rich? Hey, Rich.
Hey,
we missed
I
you.
am so sorry about that, guys, man.
Daniel was saying that you were really on the beach, like you were in Jamaica somewhere.
I wish, man. I wish, bro.
Haiti, or he was in Jamaica.
Right?
He were power cuts on a regular basis.
No, the whole entire subdivision just had lost power. So, I know. I was, I Vanessa was holding it down for me.
Yeah, I asked your questions for you, so maybe you can watch
great.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
So we were just getting into the HGTV experience.
Yes.
Yeah. So did you have a question about that, Rich, before I ask my question? Oh, did he freeze again?
It looks so.
Oh my gosh. Oh no. Okay. Well, I'll ask my question while he works that out. When I watch HGTV's House Hunters, I always wonder if how realistic is what they're showing us to what it's really like when a realtor is showing a home.
Yeah. So.
Because on TV, some people, they nitpick about certain things. I'm like, is that really important? How close is the HGTV show experience to real life?
So let me start by saying that any production, especially one of HGTV, has been around forever. You sign non-disclosure agreements, right?
Okay.
Respect to that, and because I've built a good relationship with them, I may have the opportunity to appear again. Can't get specifics of anything necessarily behind the scenes, but what I can say to you is that from my experience, what you saw was very true to life. So what they don't like, these are all things that were very real for their process, right?
Okay.
I know you mentioned things that people might pick about. So you would be surprised the reasons that some people don't buy some houses, right?
Really?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
They pick about certain things and then come to find out it was never a big deal anyway. So it happens, but
Okay.
the overall experience was a great experience, one that I wasn't necessarily eager to do when it was presented to me, but I'm glad that I did it. And like I said, I was asked to be on it again, but it just hasn't aligned.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, it's good to know. Rich, you're back again.
Yes, I'm back again. I don't know,
Okay.
man. This thing is just going in and out right now.
It's all
So,
good. It's the age of technology. So we
oh
expect
Lord.
things to not work when we want it to work.
Yeah, go with it either way, man. So it's all good.
Right. Okay, let's take a look at here. Sorry, you already touched on the questions that I had sent you. I'm not sure if you guys covered this, but as far as the buying process, because I know a lot of people have a little bit of misconception about the whole buying process and the selling process. For those that may not be too familiar with that process, can you touch on that a little bit, and especially for those who are online that are trying to get their real estate license? Let's touch a little bit more about that process, because a lot of people, and I'm sure like as soon as you became a realtor, everybody, your friends and every, hey, yo, man, can you help me get a house? Can you help me do this? Can you help me do that? Without them really understanding the whole process behind it. Yeah, and how do you educate your clients on that?
So you touch on quite a few things that are quite key and important to know, right? You mentioned friends and family. I would probably say that friends and family in some cases are more of a challenge to work with than complete strangers. And I use the word challenge not because it's a bad thing or not because there's anything wrong with them. But I know me personally, it's someone that you have a personal relationship with. So the magnitude of the process is high in terms of wanting to ensure that you're able and satisfied throughout the process, right?
Right.
Now, with that said, that's assuming that friends and family are going to come to you, because friends and family are not necessarily going to come to you just because you're in the business.
That's true.
Every realtor that has has been in the business for some time can share stories of friends and family popping up and have bought a house or sold a house to somebody else.
Yeah.
Kind of left dumbfounded, like, yo, why? What happened? I don't understand. Why wouldn't you come to me?
Okay.
You have to learn never to take it personal. This is business. People have their reasons why they may not necessarily feel comfortable sharing what that is. At the end of the day, you make sure you always put your best foot forward. Stranger, friend, family, you always ensure that you're giving top-notch customer service.
Right.
That you're educating them through the process, whether it's a first-time buyer, first-time seller, or a seasoned person as far as real estate is concerned. Ensure that they understand where we're transitioning in the process. Here are the things that can take place. Here's why this decision is probably going to be the best for you, so that there's no questions or no confusion once you navigate past that stage. Right? End goal should always be any buyer that I have the opportunity to work with, once they go through the process, their second and third time around should be that much easier because of what we experienced together.
Right.
From a teaching experience for that. And the same for seller. Seller needs to understand, especially in a market like this. Yes, $100 out there, but you can easily get yourself caught up in a contract that, let's say for example, I had a listing recently. It was listed at $440,000. I received 23 offers in the first 24 hours on the market. The offers went from $10,000 above asking price to $63,000 above asking price.
Wow.
Looking at it on the surface, obviously the offer for 516,000 or 506, 13,000, whatever it was, looked the most attractive. Wow, in pocket an extra $60-something thousand. That's However, if you don't understand how to read an offer and understand how to understand what the buyer is actually saying to you, caught up in a deal that's not gonna work for you. There was language in the contract that stated that if the house is not appraised for the list price of $440,000, then the buyer would have the ability to terminate without penalty. What the buyer actually wanted to do was get us locked into a contract with that big, beautiful number, and depend on the appraisal to bring the value
down. Right.
Because I know it's not going to appraise for that much. I know where it can appraise, but it's not going to appraise for that much. So again, if you're not working with a realtor that understands how to navigate through the market,
right,
thinking, oh, I'm going to get this much, and then you get a big shock when you realize that that's not the case. So,
oh man,
there are some other things you had mentioned, Richardson, that I'm kind of jumping around the place, but yeah, those are just some of the keys. And then for anybody that's getting into the business, again, understanding it's business. You have some people that treat it as a hustle, and I'm not saying hustle in a bad way, but it's a business. So for me, understanding that no commission, there is no commission, no, I don't care if it's $10,000, $100,000 commission, there is no commission that is worth integrity or your name. So always do the right thing, whether people are looking or not, right? There's no colleague of mine that I'm going to step on or do something behind their back to get. There's no client that I'm going to mislead for my financial gain, because the reality of the situation is negativity will spread much faster than
positivity.
So you might have
especially in this business.
You might have a client that had the best experience with you. They might tell one or two people, right? Say that they're obligated, but they might. If they have the worst experience with you, they're gonna tell 100 people about that.
Oh my gosh, and leave all the reviews online.
So you see, if you conduct business in that manner where people have that bad taste in their mouth, you can't do that. And you see, any money that you make from it, the reality is that is not going to last you your lifetime. So it's not worth it. Again, it's no matter how much money it is, do the right thing. There's different times I've had people come to me, but it would be dishonest for me to take that business. You know what I mean? They might be working with a colleague of mine that I'm very fond of. Do that to my colleague, because this money is not worth this person falling out or this person trust. So that's just
definitely not.
Yeah,
ooh, that's a word. That's a
it
word.
Is a word. Yeah, especially in this business, man. That bad news spreads fast. It spreads very, very, very fast, man.
In life, we know that anything negative gonna travel quick.
Right.
Big stuff, nobody knows. So you just have to do what's right for you.
Definitely. That's a good word to end on, because we have come to the very end portion, and we typically do like a rapid fire section at the very end, which is basically why I asked you just some fun questions about yourself to get to know you a little bit better. We'll keep it a little bit short because we're a little over an hour. But these are questions that you answer whatever comes to mind first and don't think too much about them, right? Okay. So, what is one item you can't live without, Daniel?
Probably phone.
Of course. Okay. What would you be doing on a perfect day?
Nothing.
Okay. Just chilling, relaxing. Okay. And since you're Jamaican, I have to ask you, do you eat your patty with cocoa bread or without?
Both. It depends on how much weight I'm trying to watch at the time.
Right. How many?
You know how we used to do it in Brooklyn, boy. You know how we used to do it in Brooklyn.
Regular man, that's man. Golden cross and get the little patty them and some cocoa bread and split.
Oh man, so good. I do miss the amount of Caribbean food places on the East Coast. We have some here in LA, but is not the amount that's on the East Coast. So when I come home, I'm stocking up.
let me do a shameless plug for a great friend, a brother of mine. If you're in the Atlanta area and you're looking for some quality, proper Jamaican food,
tell us.
That Fire Jerk Chicken on Northside Drive. You can't.
Okay.
It's a yellow building right down the street from the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Okay.
And it's outdoor. But I tell you proper.
Okay.
chef do it proper, man. So
Okay, I'm making a note. Next time I come home, I'm gonna check him out.
Yeah, we should. Yeah, Sonny, go ahead and put that in that chat as well. Put in that description.
So we all can partake.
Yeah.
Okay, and last question is, how do you spend your free time?
Free time, I like to well, obviously with family. I like to spend time with family, but outside of that, things I do to kind of free up my mind. I like going to the gym, and I like playing football. So
Nice.
my two outlets. I'm gonna say football, I mean soccer.
I was just about to ask, like, do you mean American football or other football?
Right.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's all the questions we had for you, Daniel.
Yes,
thank you so much
again
for taking the time to chat with us about the real estate business. I learned a ton, and I will be looking some things up and doing some more research as we leave here. So I'm so grateful for your time.
Well, listen, Richardson, I appreciate you guys again for the opportunity. I think it's wonderful what you guys have going on here. And you've now made a big support out of me, and I wish nothing for but the best for you guys and continued success on this platform. And on a more important note, Richardson, please let Evans know he owes me $7 from 5th grade. Stop it to me.
I will tell him.
Tell him to Venmo it, Cash App.
I need my money.
Yes, thanks again for being here with us tonight. For everybody that wants to know how to contact Daniel, his information will be in the description. His website is showing up right there on the screen. It is www.franksonrealestate.com, and he's also on IG at Frankson_Realty. And you also on Facebook as well?
Yeah,
or is it just either Facebook as well?
Frankson Realty, and I think LinkedIn, just Daniel Frankson.
Okay.
I don't have Twitter, but easiest way to get me is just text me, man. Text me.
Text. All right. So his information is going to be in the description for everybody that would like to get in contact with him. If you're interested in buying a house, selling a house, getting into investments, Daniel is the person you need to reach out to. Thanks again. Don't forget to like and subscribe on the channel. It was a wonderful time. Sorry about me cutting out earlier, but my homegirl Vanessa held it down as always, man. Always holding it down for us here.
I was a little worried because I was like, you the real estate person.
I know, right? Man, I was trying to jump on. I was like, man, trying to jump on the 5G. I was like trying to do so many things, but the power came back just in time. So thank you again, Daniel. Thank you to everybody again for joining us. And we will see you next time.
See you next week. Have a good night.